Hi, I'm Steve Jacobson, the founder and CEO of Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. If you're thinking about getting a mortgage to help you achieve your home ownership dream, but you're worried that your situation might be too complicated or difficult, or even impossible, you'll be interested in the story you're about to watch. At Fairway, we take pride in doing whatever it takes to make the impossible happen.
In New Hampshire, we lived in the middle of nowhere, so we moved to Washington for something different. We quit both our jobs, just decided to wing it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. We had an apartment set up,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Yep. So we were renting at the beginning when we moved out here. It was hard. We have 2 border collies that are really, really active. We had a 2-year-old.
Who was really, really
who
active.
was really, really active. And so after kind of scouting the area and getting a feel for different neighborhoods and communities, we started house hunting. So we started contacting some lenders, and it was not a great experience. I had found a job, but I hadn't been there for a substantial period of time. It had only been maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
And so when we started looking for lenders, everyone always wanted the longevity. Unfortunately, I'm a bad luck magnet, so we had huge gaps. Yeah, I had like a year gap here, a 3-month gap there, 6-month gap here,
Yeah.
and lenders were like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Nope, it's not gonna happen.
There was rational explanation to all of the hurdles that we had to overcome, all the obstacles that we were presented. None of the lenders seemed to care about that.
Yeah, it's like all these lenders made us feel like we had to apologize simply
Yeah.
for living in
Yeah.
our circumstances. We almost packed in and threw in the towel, and it was impossible. It's like nobody cared, the humanity was taken out of the entire process.
It was just like, did we make a huge mistake packing everything up and moving out here?
Yeah, it's like we thought this was going to be our fresh start.
This was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And everything's gone wrong.
Yep. This was the lowest point in this process, and I brought it to our realtor to say, hey, we just might have to just table this, and we might just have to go back. And he had been working with Amit and Fairway and suggested maybe we give them a call.
I got an email from Alyssa, and her email really spoke to me because in it she said that they'd been worked through a couple of different lenders, and each one of those guys gave her a terrible feeling.
I got on the phone with him, and immediately he was warm and genuine and just, talk me through it. What's going on?
And when we spoke that first time, she had listed out a tremendous amount of disruption in her employment. Typically, we need a 2-year history, and she had that 2-year history, but throughout it, there were a lot of gaps, a lot of just bad luck. They sold the company, she was let go. She got a job, the company had some protocol problems and some health issues while she was carrying their child, and she decided not to work there for their safety. All these things just seemed reasonable to me. They were just unfortunate in the timing. So I wanted to help her out, and I wanted to hear her story. I wanted to see what we could do to help overcome that.
It was like all of the burden just sloughed right off their shoulders. All of the humanity I was missing from the process all of a sudden materialized.
He was genuinely interested
And-
in, not in what the numbers were,
Right.
but in, okay, here's a gap. Explain that gap to me. He wanted to know.
He didn't want to know my statistics, he wanted to know my story.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference.
For underwriters, what they're really trying to do is document a buyer's ability to repay the loan. And when you have gaps in your employment like that, that gives underwriters a little concern as to how you're going to repay the loan going forward. I told her, I can't promise anything, but it sounds like we've got some things to work on. So let's get started and put everything together and see what we can accomplish.
So we walked through what the gaps were, and every time there was a gap, no matter how small it was, we explained what it was. So we would hit those gaps, find an explanation. Hit another gap, find an explanation.
And then once we had all of that information, my loan officer assistant had to go in and speak to all of the employers and validate all of that. So she had to get letters of explanation, she had to get verifications of employment, which required her to reach out to each of those HR offices, verifying all the information.
Fairway themselves did that. That wasn't me. I didn't ask them to do that either. They did one step ahead all the time to make my life easier.
And while we're doing that, that's time that we can't spend doing something else. So a lot of companies just don't want to spend the time. We also helped Alyssa and Brendan improve other parts of their application.
We also looked at credit cards because we had, you know, a high amount of revolving credit, as most people do, I would imagine. And so he gave us a really useful roadmap on how to manage that.
Once we did that and they were pre-approved, it was a great call to make.
Hello, my brother.
To let somebody know, you know, you're going to make this. You can make this happen. Here's your limit. This is the maximum that you can afford.
We found this house
Yeah.
and said, you know what, we're pre-approved. Let's just go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this might work.
I think we made an offer the day after we
did.
saw it.
We did. They accepted that night, like 2.5 hours later.
Yeah.
I spoke with Alyssa. First email was October 22nd, and 2 months later, they were homeowners. It was fantastic. Right in time for the holidays.
Oh my God, it's a wagon.
From Grammy.
It was unbelievable how you go from your lowest point into thinking, we can't do this. It's impossible. And then the next day, the sun shines and the sky opens up and anything is possible.
And you blink, and somebody's just right underneath your hands, catching it all, being like, "Hey, I got you. We got this." And that was Amit, and that was Fairway.
We want to make things happen for our clients, and so we will do whatever it takes to get them there.